In this video, we're going to talk about how to force the universe to give you anything that you want instantly whenever you want it, right? So I know you guys have short attention spans. Make sure you watch this entire video because I guarantee you the version of you that has a short attention span that doesn't watch the entirety of this video, you shift into a completely different timeline than the version of you that does watch this video. The version of you that watches this video achieves all of their goals, dreams, they're rich, they're successful, their life is fantastic and amazing. And the version of you that doesn't watch this, because they didn't watch this video and they didn't download the amazing information in this video that I'm about to spew out to you, they shift into a completely different timeline where they did not achieve anything they want, specifically simply because they weren't able to focus because of that short attention span they had and they didn't watch this entire video. So if you want to become the successful version of yourself that's rich, successful, or maybe some of you, you're already fairly successful, you just want to make more money, make sure you watch this video, right? So how to force the universe to give you anything that you want. So you guys have to understand how the universe works, right? For you to force something to give you what you want, you have to understand how that thing works. And once you understand how that thing works, that's when you're going to be able to manipulate said thing to get what you want from it, right? Perfect example of this is if you give a computer or an iPhone or a laptop to someone who has never seen technology in their life. They live in the middle of nowhere. They've never seen technology. They don't know what internet is. They don't know how any of this stuff works, right? If you give them a laptop or an iPhone, they're not going to be able to use it. They're not going to be able to essentially, they just don't understand how it works. Well, it's the same with the universe. If you don't understand how the universe works, how are you going to force the universe to give you what you want? So first you have to understand this. And this is the core of everything, right? So, some of you wanted to click off. Don't click off. I swear don't click off this video. Don't click off this video. I'll slap you with. Pay attention. A lot of you are getting bored. Pay attention. Watch. Make sure you watch the entire video. Stop. You want to click off, right? The good part's about to start. Relax. So, first, for you to manipulate the universe, you have to understand how the universe works. Well, what is the universe made of? The universe is made of energy, frequency, and vibrations. Everything is energy, frequency, and vibrations, right? So let's write this down right here, right? The building blocks of all of existence, the building blocks of the universe is energy, frequency, and vibrations. So building blocks of reality, right? The building blocks of reality, which is the universe, is energy, frequency, and vibrations. But we don't need to put frequency right there. So the building blocks of reality is energy, right? So you have to understand that everything, I'm energy, you're energy, that girl you like is energy, that car you want is energy, your desired reality is just vibrating at a specific frequency. Absolutely, naturally, every single thing in existence is energy. Everything's made out of energy. There is nothing that something can be made from that is not energy. Everything is energy. You're hearing me. The reason you're hearing me is because it's energy. Sound is vibration. It's energy moving at a specific rate that allows you to hear it through your human ears, right? Everything is energy. You know, when you're walking your dog and the dog starts smelling the weird stuff, it's a certain vibration. That smell is vibrating at a specific rate. That makes the dog want to smell it. Everything is energy, frequency, and vibrations. You can't escape that, right? So energy is the building blocks of reality. That's one of the first things that you need to understand, right? You have to understand that the exact reality that you're currently living right now is simply a reflection of a certain specific invisible frequency that you are vibrating on, right? So your physical reality, let's say this is physical reality, right? Physical reality. So your physical reality, this is the earth. This is, some people call it the 3D, the third dimension. This is physical reality right here. Don't click off. I know some of you were about to click off right as soon. You thought I didn't see you because I was looking at the whiteboard. I saw you. All right, so this is a lot of you right here. So this is you. This is your physical reality right here. This is physical reality. Your physical reality is a direct reflection of this invisible frequency that you cannot see. So let's say this is visible. We're going to say this is visible, visible, visible. This is visible. And then this is invisible, right? Let's cover that. Invisible. So you cannot see this with your physical eyes because your physical eyes can only see certain things. Your physical eyes can't see most things, right? Your physical eyes can't see everything that's going on, right? So this is visible, then this is what's invisible to your physical eyes. So this is the frequency. Let's just do this, right? So this is frequency, right? This is the frequency that you're currently vibrating on in that invisible energetic realm that you cannot see with your physical eyes. And everything that you experience physically is a reflection of the frequency that you are vibrating on, right? So you have to understand that every single person you meet, all the circumstances that happen in your life, the money in your bank account, the relationships you have, every single thing is a reflection of this frequency that you're vibrating on. Every single thing that happens to you, it didn't happen by accident. You were vibrationally aligned with that thing for that thing to have materialized within your physical reality. Nothing happens on accident. Everything is energetically aligned. It's vibrationally aligned, right? So you have to understand that everything you experience in your physical reality is a reflection of this frequency. It's a reflection of this invisible frequency that you cannot see with your physical eyes, right? And if you want to change something in physical reality, you must change this frequency. Remember, we talked about everything is energy. The universe is energy, right? So let's say this person, their name is John. John is a common name. Don't click the video. I saw you were trying to click off. Let's say a person's name. What's a unique name? How about the person's name is going to be Clover. So this person's name is Clover. And Clover is currently living a life that they don't want to live, right? And Clover watches this video before it's even came out because I know Clover, and I sent Clover this video specifically, personally, before I released this video. I sent this to this exact person in this picture, and now they understand that everything is energy, everything is frequency, everything is vibrations. They understand that their physical reality is a mirror, and it's mirroring this invisible frequency right here. So now Clover understands. Let's say Clover is poor, his life is horrible, and he's not living a life that he wants to live. Clover watched this video before it even came out. Before I even made the video, Clover's already watched it. That's how Clover's a big G. I don't know how he does his things, but that's Clover for you. He's a mystical guy. Now Clover, right? Clover, he watched this video before it came out, and he basically understands that everything in his physical reality is a reflection of this frequency. So if Clover, let's say the first thing is Clover needs to identify what he wants the universe to give him. So let's say Clover wants a Ferrari. He wants 3 girlfriends, and he wants houses all over the United States of America. He wants a house in California. He wants a house in Florida. He wants a house all over. This is his dream life. He also has an anxious problem. He wants to be confident. He wants to be that guy. That's who Clover wants to be. Well, if Clover wants to be that guy, first off, he has to understand that every single thing he's currently experiencing in this physical reality is a reflection of this frequency. So that means currently he's vibrating at the frequency of unconfidence, poverty, right? So he's vibrating at the frequency of unconfidence. He's vibrating at the frequency of poverty. Maybe his spouse, his partner, maybe she's not as attractive as he would like, right? So let's put he wants a better looking chick, right? So let's put average, or let's put 6 out of 10 girl, right? So unconfidence, poverty, he has a 6 out of 10 chick, right? Right? And basically he's just not living the life he wants. But he wants to be, what does he want? He wants confidence, he wants abundance, he wants 3 10 out of 10s, and he wants to live that fantastic, amazing, phenomenal existence. This is what Clover wants. And as I said, Clover watched this video before it came out. So now he understands that basically the quickest way for him to get everything he wants is for him to change that frequency, right? So let's say he begins doing the internal work that he needs to do to change his frequency. And once he begins doing the internal work that he needs to do to shift his frequency, now he's vibrating at confidence. He's vibrating at confidence, abundance, and he's vibrating at the frequency where he has 3 10 out of 10 girlfriends. So we'll put 3 10 out of 10s. 3 10 out of 10s, right? Now here's the thing, right? Energy, the third dimension, life in the physical world, there's a delay in energy, right? There's a delay. So even though he shifted his vibration, if you can see here, it hasn't shifted immediately, right? He's still in the exact same position, right? Because there's a delay. He has to maintain this frequency long enough for his physical reality to shift, right? And here's another thing that a lot of you don't realize, right? A lot of you, so you have to understand how the universe works, right? You have to understand how the universe works. That's the point of this video. Don't click off. I'm about to spit a bar. Make sure I'm about to spit something you've never heard before. So if the building blocks of reality, if the building blocks of the universe is energy, well, what is the nature of energy? The nature of energy is oscillation, right? So let's say the nature of energy is oscillation. All right, oscillation. Right? So that's the nature of energy. The nature of energy is oscillation. And basically what that means, for you who don't know what this means, for those of you who don't know what that means, is energy goes like this. Energy never just stays in the same spot or the same whatever. Like, this is how energy is, right? So this is energy, right? This is energy. So this is a physical representation of energy. Energy never just stays like this. It goes like this. So because energy goes like this, even though Clover is vibrating at this new frequency of confidence, abundance, and where he has 3 10 out of 10 girlfriends, even though he's vibrating at this new frequency, his physical reality is not going to reflect it immediately. Now, I want you guys to really, really hear what I'm about to say here, right? This is extremely important. Remember, the building blocks of reality is energy. Everything is energy, frequency, vibrations. The nature of energy is oscillation. Energy is oscillating. So that means currently Clover was poor. He's working a horrible job. He's not confident. He's not living the life that he wants to live, right? So you have to understand that if you think of Clover, right? So now Clover's going on the self-improvement and the self-development journey that he needs to go through that allows him to live that exact reality that he wants to live. But a lot of people think that, manifestation or changing your energy, you just immediately succeed. That's not how it works. You're going to go through these little ups and downs because the nature of existence is oscillation. Before there's a tsunami, the tides in the ocean pulls back, right? If when you wake up in the morning, you might feel a bit sluggish for the first couple minutes, and then you get a wave of energy. If you turn off your computer or your phone, when you turn it off, it might be a bit slow, a bit laggy for the first, minute, because everything is booting on, but then the phone fully turns on and that works perfectly properly. If you actually analyze everything in existence, everything in your life, everything, you notice that the nature of everything is oscillation. Everything oscillates. The seasons oscillate. It's summer, and then it's winter. Temperature doesn't just stay the same. It goes up and it goes down. That which goes up comes down. That which goes down goes up. This is how reality works. This is the nature of the universe in and of itself. It's oscillation. So as soon as Clover decides that basically he wants to change his life, you have to understand, right? Everything oscillates. So as soon as Clover decides he wants this amazing, fantastic life, he wants the confidence, he wants the abundance, he wants 3 10 out of 10s, he might notice a lot of things start going wrong because you're going to be tested. It's almost as if, let's say this is Clover's energy, right? So currently, Clover, right? This is Clover energy. So this is Clover's energy. So this is what's happening on an energetic, invisible level, right? When Clover decides he wants to change his frequency. So currently, he's just chilling at the frequency that he's vibrating on. So he's vibrating like this, right? As soon as he decides he wants to shift and change his frequency, he might notice a lot of things going wrong. The old frequency is also going to test him, and it's going to manifest negative things in his reality because it wants to keep him at the frequency that he's currently on, right? So he might notice as soon as he decides he wants to be abundance, he might start getting sued, random bills out of nowhere, a bunch of random stuff. Everything's going to seem like it's going on. So this was his normal baseline, right? And then he starts doing the work. He decides he wants to get better as a person, self-improve, live that fantastic, amazing life. But he's going to be tested, right? So essentially what's going to happen is, remember, everything oscillates. Right? And this is, a lot of you are going to understand what I'm about to say. Remember, this is very important. So energy oscillates. So he might actually notice a dip in his energy. He might actually notice a dip in his frequency. As soon as he starts focusing on these high frequencies, he actually might notice sometimes he might feel a bit worse, right? And this is a good sign, right? So energy oscillates. This is baseline, right? As soon as he decides he wants to change his life, right? Boom. His frequency completely drops. It goes down here, right? He might be, he decides he wants to start a business. He might be struggling. People are saying he's going to fail. Everyone is against him. He's lost his friends. He lost his family. He lost his 6 out of 10 girl. Everything seems like it's going wrong, but this is all part of the process because everything oscillates. This is the nature of existence. This is the nature of the universe. This is the nature of everything itself. Oscillation. So before he's actually able to be fully confident, fully abundant, and have 3 10 out of 10s, he's going to be tested. So he might be vibrating at this new frequency, but his frequency is also going to be all over the place. And his job is to not react, and his job is to maintain this frequency long enough for everything that he wants to materialize. So then eventually he doesn't react. He doesn't react negatively. He doesn't react emotionally. And his job is to maintain this frequency, and his job is to stay positive. Eventually, on a long enough time frame, right? What goes down must come up, right? So it's like the tides are coming back. The tides are, it's like if you a tsunami, the tides pull back. And then he's gonna shoot up, right? He's gonna shoot up, and now he's vibrating at this frequency, right? So this is him when he was average. This is his frequency when he's average. So this is average. And then now he's on the grind, right? So he's trying to level up. And because he's trying to level up, because he's on the grind, his frequency completely drops. Right? So this is where average people who are right here and they're looking down at you, they're going to say, oh, you're a failure. You need to take our advice. This is not going to work. You need to do this, that. They're basically gonna say, oh, you're a failure, this, that. A lot of entrepreneurs who are already making money, you went through this down process, right? But then the thing is, the tides have pulled back. You have to understand the nature of energy, which is oscillation. The tides pulled back, and then eventually, boom, you got paid. You got paid, right? So now the tides pulled back and a wave of success came crashing down. A wave of confidence, a wave of abundance. And now he has those 10 out of 10 girlfriends he wanted. And now, boom. So this is the average. And now he's way up here. Now the whiteboard doesn't have enough space, but I would put it way up here, right? And now he's vibrating way up here. And now that he's vibrating way up here, now the average people, when they're looking at him down here, they're saying, oh, he's going to fail. He's this. You need to do this, that, right? You know, all of the entrepreneurs listening, you've been through this exact process. Oh, you're going to fail, blah, 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 right? But then, boom, you shoot all the way up. The tides pulled back. It looked like you were failing. And then a wave of success came crashing down. Boom. And now they're looking at you all the way up there. Now Clover is average, and then he decided he wanted to level himself up. So then he fell down here because that's just another thing is when your frequency lowers like this. Another thing, it's like the universe is preparing you for the blessings that you're about to receive. Because you don't learn anything when you're average, when you don't take any risk. You only learn when everything drops. You only learn through suffering. You only learn through these lower frequency states, right? This is where you learn everything that Clover was average, and then he decided he wanted to take the risk, and he went through a temporary horrible period, but that's where he learned everything that he needed to learn that allowed him to be confident, that allowed him to be abundance, and that allowed him to be a person where he has these 10 out of 10 girlfriends, right? And then once he learned everything that he needed to learn then, because the nature of the universe is oscillation, then he shot up, and then boom, now the average people, right? Clover used to be here, and then he went down here, and now the average people are like, oh, Clover got lucky. Oh, overnight success. Oh, this, that, this, right? And now Clover was able to have faith and maintain this frequency long enough. And and this is what's happening on an energetic level for any person who's trying to be successful or self-improve themselves. And now if you look at Clover, right? Now he has his 3 10 out of 10s, right? So now he has his 3 10 out of 10s. These are 10 out of 10s. These aren't 6s. These are 10 out of 10s, right? Now he has his Lambo, right? Let's put Lambo. This is his car, right? So now Clover has his Lambo, and then he has his houses. Then he has his mansions, and his life is fantastic, phenomenal, and amazing. Now, because Clover watched this video before it came out, he understood that the nature of the universe, right? He understood that the nature of the universe is oscillation. Because the universe is made up of energy, what is the nature of energy? The nature of energy is oscillation. Because the nature of energy is oscillation, as soon as Clover decided that he was average, but then he wanted to change his life, right? Guess what? He's going to be tested. Right? So as soon as he decided he wanted to vibrate at these frequencies and he started doing the work, then he was tested. His job is to maintain the frequency of confidence, abundance, and all of this, and do his best to maintain it and not react in a negative way. Right? His job is to maintain this high frequency while he's down here. And then eventually physical reality will catch up and it will reflect this new frequency. Because this frequency up here is confidence, abundance, right? But because he watched this video before it came out, he understood that the nature of the universe is oscillation. So even though all these average people right here, they're saying, oh, you're going to fail, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. He understood that a lot of the time before you end up super successful, or before you live that life that you want, before you become confident, abundant, and live that fantastic life, or maybe a lot of you are stuck at making the same amount of money in your business and you want to go to the next level, right? A lot of you, maybe you spent a lot of time losing money before you actually went to the next level in your business, right? Some of you, right? So essentially, once you understand the nature of energy and you understand the oscillation, and then you also understand that a lot of the negative things that you go through are basically they're basically put there to prepare you for these higher frequencies, to prepare you for that which you want, your desired reality. Clover watched this video before it came out, remember. Because he watched this video before it came out, when he was at these lower positions, this is what's happening on an energetic level. When he was at these lower frequencies, he basically understood, okay, well, the universe is energy, right? The universe is energy. Right? And the nature of energy is oscillation. So a lot of and I'm not saying this happens all the time, but a lot of the time when you decide you want to improve, when you decide you want to, live that amazing life, you decide you don't want to be average, you want to live a fantastic, amazing, phenomenal existence, you're going to be tested. And a lot of the times it's going to seem like a lot of things go wrong before everything ends up right. Right? That's the tides pulling back. And a lot of average people are going to look in and they're going to be like, oh, you're failing, you're doing this, that, right? Because you were here and then you dropped all the way here. But they don't see the big wave of success that is going to be crashing into your life. This is just the nature of energy. This is because the nature of energy is oscillation, and every single thing that you experience is a reflection of this energy. So if the nature of energy is oscillation, because energy oscillates and everything goes like this, that means you cannot be surprised. And I'm not saying this happens all the time, but you cannot be surprised that if you decide you want to chase a big goal or start shifting to a higher frequency, and then eventually if you maintain that frequency long enough, your physical reality will reflect it. You can't be surprised when you notice that a couple things start going wrong. If you're average, you work a normal job, and you decide you want to start a business, start making money, boom, random bill, this thing in the house broke, all this, your job is to maintain that faith, maintain that higher frequency long enough for physical reality to reflect it, fully understanding and fully knowing that this is just the nature of the universe. Everything oscillates, and basically when you see everything going bad, it's happening for a positive reason. It's preparing you for your blessings. It's preparing you for everything that you know you deserve. And if you're able to maintain that high positive mindset, that high frequency state, even when everything in physical reality is the complete opposite of that which you want it to be, then eventually the tides pull all the way back. It looks like you're failing, and then boom, a wave of success comes crashing in like a tsunami. And now, oh, he got lucky. It's an overnight success, whatever. And right, so that's just the game, right? So when you understand the nature of energy is oscillation, you understand how the universe works, you understand how all these things work, you're going to be able to glide. You're going to be able to just glide and flow with the current of the universe, flow with the current of creation. So the way you get the universe to give you absolutely whatever it is that you want is by understanding how the universe works, and it's by staying in a high frequency positive mindset, and while you ride the flows of, and while you ride the current of the universe, of the energy of your life. Understand that if you circumstances don't matter, only your state of being matters. So even though physical reality might look like it goes bad, right? There's certain things that you must learn within that situation for you to get to the position that you need to be at. So Clover remained positive. He stayed in that high frequency mindset, and he still was maintaining that frequency, and he wasn't reacting. And then boom, eventually his physical reality shifted. You got lucky, this, boom, boom, whatever. And that's pretty much how the universe works. Peace.